welcome. Welcome. It's so good to see all of you. It's like my favorite part of life. It really is. I was just talking to a class yesterday about how this stuff is so powerful because I love what I do and I love what you guys do. I love creating with you. I love art because I could be in the worst situation in my life. I've been in some of the craziest situations since I opened this studio. I was just talking to Whitney about that. I opened 11 years ago this August. It's been crazy scenario after crazy scenario. I mean, so many curveballs and challenges and struggles and all sorts of things. I mean, I showed up to class 5 minutes after going through a breakup, you know, in devastating tears, and then, hey guys, welcome, you know. And I remember my ex-boyfriend one time was like, you know, he thought it was fake. He was like, you're so fake. Because we were fighting in the theater, crying, and I was devastated. And then I see my Meisner students walking up the sidewalk, and I'm like, I'm good. And it wasn't fake, because it's a shift inside. I felt, first of all, it had nothing to do with my students, so why am I not going to give them what they came for, which is class, not me like, I did that breakup. You know, I mean, of course, I talk about being authentic and all that, and I've shared some of this stuff going on with my classes, but when it doesn't, if it hasn't been processed and I don't feel like it's going to serve anybody, if it's just like self-serving, I don't do that. I would shift. And it wasn't fake, it was because I love this stuff and because I love seeing you guys that much that it would immediately, you know, it's like medicine. And that's also what you guys have the ability to do through a play, through a movie, through just you sharing your stories, whatever that is, through stand-up comedy or whatever. So what I really wanted to share with you right now is a reminder. Because in doing this, whatever it is, whenever you're called to do something with your heart, whether it's art or starting some kind of startup business or whatever it is, a relationship, there's going to be times when you doubt it. There's going to be times when you're challenged beyond belief and you want to give up. But it's not because you don't love it. It's because you feel like maybe you're failing at it, or maybe it's not working out the way that you want it. And I want to remind you that you're impacting people with your ability to show up beyond what you will ever know. So sometimes you're going to get feedback from people saying, wow, that scene or that video or whatever it is that you put out there, even that post on Facebook, really helped me. And sometimes, probably more often than not, you won't get that feedback. But there's somebody who you touched. There's somebody who helped and you didn't even know it. Think about the artists that have impacted your life. Think about any time you've ever laughed because a comedian made you laugh. And what if they didn't show up? Think about the songs that have helped you heal through breakups or challenges. Think about the songs that have shifted your mood when you were feeling down and then you're like all of a sudden filled with that light again and you feel possibility. That's the ability that art has to heal us and connect us. And if those people didn't show up in the face of challenges, in the face of cars breaking down, financial turmoil, hackers, just, you know, defaming them, all sorts of things, they wouldn't have impacted you. So you are healers. And there are going to be times when you're extremely challenged and you want to give up. And I invite you to remember that while this is a calling on your own heart, be of service in some way, it's not all about you. It's not always all about you. And your gift has been given to you to give away. So the minute that you're judging it, it's like you're judging the opportunity for somebody else. And the minute that you want to quit and say, you know, whatever, I'm not getting the likes or whatever on Facebook, or I'm not getting the bookings. You know, acting can be a really tough job, you guys. It can be really, really tough because you do face a lot of rejection. You do. Don't know when you're 3 feet from gold. You just don't know. And that's the saddest part, is that you might have faced 25 years of rejection. And that next thing, that next day was going to be the thing, and that's the day you quit. That, to me, is a tragedy. So I'm not only lifted up because I get to teach this stuff, but I'm lifted up because I get to co-create with that magic, that healing, that ability to continue even when it's tough. I guarantee any successful person that you see has faced a lot of challenges. You might not see it, but they have. And that's the problem a lot of times with success, is that you see it when they're at the success point, but you don't see all that stuff leading up. I saw a meme that described it perfectly. It was like an iceberg, right? And you see the iceberg out of the water, but below the water you don't see it. And below the water is the struggle, the challenge, the turmoil, the defaming, the breaking up, all that stuff, right? The financial stress. And then up top, where everyone sees, it's the success. Don't know when it's gonna hit. You don't know. I'll share this with you. There was a comedian named Brody. Some of you guys know him, maybe not. He was like a comics comic. This guy was so funny. All the comics loved him. He's genius. And he did warm-up for shows. That's a hard job. If you guys don't know what audience warm-up is, it's when, any big show, the audience is all coming in and they're getting ready for the show. They hire a comedian to come out and warm up the audience. And so they tell jokes, talk to them, to get them warmed up for the show. It's a hard job because they're not there to see them, they're there to see the other person, and that's what it is. It's to warm up the audience. He did warm up for Chelsea Handler, he did warm up for years. And a lot of people loved him, but he didn't realize it because he didn't have the big house like all his friends. Because a lot of his friends are super famous. And so he didn't have that. So he thought, I don't know, I wasn't in his head, but I can imagine that he thought, looking out for me, why? And he's been in some movies, he was in The Hangover and, different things like that. Before he died, he had special. And he got some comment on there that said, you're the worst comedian ever. And this is stupid. And I think it even went as far as you should off yourself. I don't remember now. But he screenshotted it and he posted it on his Facebook. And he goes, well, I guess people don't really like my special. And he killed himself a few days later. And I was so devastated because he was a guy, he would make these silly videos walking around the neighborhood. The Chicago Cubs did a tribute to him because how much people loved him after he died. They did a tribute to him. He's almost so niche, you know what I mean? But he didn't understand, the mainstream didn't get him, you know what I mean? Because he was a genius, he's a genius. And he would do these little videos walking around the valley. He would always talk about, I'm from the valley, 818 till I die. And he's just hilarious. You can look up some of his old stuff, but he would do these little videos, and I remember watching him when I was pregnant, and we knew each other a long time ago, but he had asked me out on a date. And I told him no, I wanted to be friends because I had just been burned by somebody. And I was like, but maybe we could be friends, and I'd give you my phone number. And he was like, nope, no kiss, no number. He's like, I don't want friends, I want a girlfriend. And now I look back at that and I'm like, God, I wish I would have totally been his girlfriend, but I was in my own shit. And again, you don't know what's going on in somebody's world. So he probably took that as a rejection. And I was trying to preserve my own heart, you know what I mean? So I always watched him, but we weren't we would see each other from time to time and we were friendly, but we weren't friends because he said no. And that was fine and I respected it. But I would watch his videos when I was pregnant and feeling very alone and scared as a single mom, I was like, how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna miss out? And I would watch his little videos walking around North Hollywood, or I'm so famous, I got a callback as an extra in a stadium scene, and he was so funny, and his self-deprecating stuff was just, he would take pictures of himself at Gelson's by the fire, and he's just enjoying a nice evening at Gelson's. Just funny stuff that would lift me up, and it made me feel better, and it made me feel like something's possible. He didn't even, who am I, it doesn't matter, but he didn't know he was touching my heart and helping me. He had no clue. So I say all this because you don't know the people you're touching. You don't know. You don't always get to know. You don't always get that feedback. But please know, by just showing up amidst the challenge, you're doing it already. Whether or not you ever get all that fame and recognition on the outside, you're doing your job. You're showing up and using your gifts and giving them. And that is worth heaps of gold, but you might not be given it in the way and in the time that you want it. So I just ask you to please continue with your craft, because each one of you have a special gift that you've been given, and there's no accident why we're doing this together, and there's no accident why you've been called to do this. And sometimes it might feel really selfish in your egoic mind because it's all about looks, or it's all about likes, it's all about fame, it's all about fortune, and that stuff can get really heady and heavy. And it can be, you can get the fortune and the fame, and there's nothing wrong with that, I don't think. When it's very well deserved, you put in a lot of time, you're getting paid for 50 years of not getting paid, you know what I mean, a lot of times. So I think people deserve that, but there's a lot of really talented people who never get that. And you still matter a lot. And I hope you all get that in your lifetime, I really do, so that you can receive that validation, but you might not. And I want you to know that you're still touching people's lives. And you've touched my life. So keep going. Like, keep going, even when you want to quit. Don't. I promise you, it's going to pay off with your soul. Doing your soul's mission on the planet. So it's bigger than the yacht and all that stuff. But when you get that, invite me. Because some of you will be getting that, and I hope all of you do. I really do, just because I think that you deserve it. But just know if you don't, you still deserve it. And I still see you. And a lot of people do. And to me, in my eyes, you're just as famous, as important as somebody who's like selling out the ballerina. Mm-hmm. Really. Mm-hmm. And I'll remember these moments in class just as much as somebody that I saw at the ballerina. You know what I mean? So with that, today, remember you've been given a gift and you're nurturing it by showing up. And that alone has an energy that is healing those people. Even inside this room, even people who aren't even seeing your work, energetically, you showing up does that. So it's really powerful, and I really, honest to God, bow to you. I'm so grateful for you, because without art, I think it'd be a dismal world. So thank you all for showing up. Fun creating and nurturing your gifts and talents, okay?